Okay, we got Jimmy High Roller YouTube is day 718 live every day on Twitch. MVP race makes no sense. Yeah, gang.
I've got a question. Is a player averaging a near 30-point triple-double worthy of an MVP? What about a
Hey, bro. I mean, yes and no. If so, Russ deserves 3 MVPs because he did it basically 3 times. If not, then Jokic doesn't get one. That answers that question. Boom.
player having one of the greatest defensive seasons of all time?
Defensive can be offensive. He's shooting below 50% and he's almost 8 foot.
Or how about a player averaging 34 points who put up 40 a game for an entire
He's if he is he not averaging also a 30-point triple double, or since it's like 8.7 and 9.4, it doesn't count. Genuine question. Genuine question.
month? Is he worthy of the award? Or what about a player who is having the most efficient 30-piece in the history of the NBA?
Bro, I just seen that nigga shoot 0 for 10 from 3, literally this week.
On his way to 65 wins. Now, the answer is pretty simple.
Against,
all of
like,
these
the
seasons
Pistons
are
without
worthy of an
Caden them.
MVP. But what if all of these seasons are happening at the same time?
Well,
4
you
players,
get
4
cucked out like
legitimate
LeBron
cases
James
being made, and only
every
one
year.
award. Who should be the NBA's most
I'll
valuable
vote
player
Luka,
this season?
because obviously you can't get that many
that
MVPs
depends
anymore,
on
so it has
who
to go
you
to
ask
Luka.
and what they value.
Because you live in an NBA with parity, so nobody can surpass LeBron, because how many people were better than LeBron?
Today's video is sponsored by
And
Chime.
that's not even Glaze at that point. It's just like on like a Jordan argument. You can't be giving niggas more awards than Jordan if niggas not better than them. Because at that point, that just means like the whole board sucks as a board.
Winning the MVP usually means putting up numbers
it.
that jump off the stat sheet. It's not
Yeah.
the only thing that matters, but big eye-popping box scores have almost become a prerequisite for the MVP award. And right now there's 2 players who don't just stand out this season, they stand out amongst every season. If we just
Luka?
look at raw box score numbers, Jokic and Luka are gapping the entire
But
league
Luka has
this
0
season. Their
MVPs
numbers
though,
have gotten so absurd that they make Shea's 31, 4, and 7 look kind of normal. Add up their per-game points, rebounds, and assists, and Jokic and Luka are having 2 of the top 5 most productive seasons
Now
in
look.
modern
You see that? Didn't he get MVP this season? So why doesn't Luka have MVP right there?
NBA
Didn't James Harden
history.
get an MVP right there? So he should get MVP then.
Jokic
Oh look, this is Luka 2 years ago. How the fuck does he not have an MVP yet?
joining the 50 club. And
Oh wait, this is triple double Russ MVP. Again, if he did this at 6 foot 2 inches, is he not the greatest point guard of all time? That's all I'm saying. Whose team's better though? I mean, on paper I say Jokic, but for some reason Luka's team
exclusive
better.
group that was
And he's like 3 points behind.
previously only occupied by 2017 MVP Russell Westbrook, 2025 Jokic, and 2024 Luka. But if sheer numbers alone guaranteed a player an MVP, then Jokic would have won the award in 2025, and Luka would have won it in 2024. So
Exactly.
would James Harden in 2019,
Oh, he
Luka
won it
again in
2018.
2023, and LeBron in
2018?
2018. As box score numbers continue
He
to
said
climb
LeBron
across the
2018, that's what
NBA,
I'm
so
saying,
does
bro.
the frequency of these historically significant seasons. In fact, 17 of the last 20 most productive seasons in modern NBA history have all came in just the last 8 years. Seasons
Wow.
like this, that were once not only warrant of an MVP, but were historic milestones, are now
That's
becoming
crazy,
an annual
actually.
occasion for players like Jokic, Luka, and Giannis. And the more often we see these shockingly large numbers, the more the shock wears off. It wasn't long ago when averaging a triple-double all but guaranteed Russell Westbrook an MVP as a 6 seed. But in
And-
today's NBA, averaging
Well, first of all, he did it like 2 more seasons, and he only has 1 MVP. So obviously, Jokic should not have that many MVPs. Like, that's all I'm saying, bro. Let's
near
stop blazing.
30-point triple-double might not even land you in the top 3 spots for the MVP. Unlike
His
other
team low-key-
superstars around the league who
low-key
fill the
gets
stat sheet with historic
defense.
volume, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander
Bro, the nigga, he can't shuffle his fucking feet. He can't shuffle his feet, bro. He can't shuffle his feet. He don't. That's what I'm saying. He's a big that averages triple double, yet can't get a fucking block a game.
Alexander has maintained his spot as the MVP
What the fuck does
favorite
that
with a
mean, bro?
season of record-breaking efficiency and consistency, all while spearheading the best team in the league. According to ESPN's net points stat, Shea
If
has
you got
only
the best
had
team in the league, are you
5
really
bad
MVP?
games all season. In fact, there has only been one season in
Hold
the
up.
5 bad games.
Now, look. Bad games are negatives. We're talking about plus or minus. Nigga, he lost. He's only +2. What does that means? You barely produce anything. Plus, like, I feel like anything below like a +8 is mediocre.
All
A +1 point. That's what I'm saying, bro.
season. In fact,
Now look at that 0 point plus. Does that even count? That's what I'm saying. What
there has only
0.5.
been one season
And that's nigga. That was the Dallas Mavericks. Oh God, bro.
in the
Advanced
history
stats
of the league
sometimes
where a
don't fucking
guard was
matter.
more efficient than
Context.
Shea at scoring the ball while averaging at least 30 a game. And it was by the greatest shooter of all time.
It was Steph Curry. It was 2016 unanimous. Steph Curry. That's what I'm saying. True shooting, bro. True shooting. This nigga don't even shoot threes. That's why I'm
Having
like,
the
bro, I don't
greatest
really
season
like
of
this
his
argument.
career. But
But you
to
see,
say
you see
Shea
how everybody else up here has 3-point shooting and Shea doesn't at the volume. So the true shooting for him is quite literally free throws.
has simply
And if you look at Steph Curry and you look at Damian Lillard, none of them niggas average eight free throws.
been efficient this season
So it's
would be an
like,
understatement.
his true shooting
So
really
far
getting
this
carried by free
season,
throws.
Shea is scoring 1.6 points every time he shoots the ball. That is the most points per shot by any volume scoring guard in the history of the NBA. "2026 Shea Gilgeous-Alexander isn't having one of the most efficient
You know what's crazy though? Since it's by like points, it looks super duper crazy, but this difference is only 5 points.
seasons by a guard.
Or not even
He's
5
having
points. It's 5/10. It's 5/10, gang. Like it's 5/10 would mean like you need like 10 games for that point to even come in a factor.
the most efficient season of all time.
Which means efficiency, he scores on average like what, 1 extra point every 10 games in them niggas. Like it's splitting hairs.
Now, when stacked
When
up
you-
against
those
these
advanced
three,
stats start
Victor
splitting hairs like that,
Wembanyama's
it's like, bro, it
numbers
could be
pale in
anybody.
comparison. A lot of his value
got the
coming
3
on the
blocks.
defensive side of the ball, and I don't think you'll find any
You see that true shooting at 61%, and he shoots below 50 from the field. That's what I'm saying, bro. That shit is really killing his MVP case.
in comparison. A lot of his value coming on the defensive side of the ball, and I don't think you'll find
That's what
any
I'm saying. 2.5 turnovers, 3 assists. That boy
never
is,
minds on the stat sheet. But Victor has been on a minutes restriction all year. If we standardize these numbers on a per 75 basis, then you can really see just how much Wemby is
4 turnovers.
impacting the game
75.
every
75
time he's on the
possessions? What
court.
is the 75
With
from?
box score numbers that match these other
What is per
candidates,
75?
even
I'm
as
sorry.
a player who doesn't
I
favor
genuinely don't
offense.
know.
However, earning
I
the
don't
title
remember.
as the most valuable player in basketball requires value that goes far beyond the box score. But even looking past the raw numbers doesn't make this decision any easier.
Bro, we really missed that goddamn saxophone. These videos would be so much more
Who is the
bearable.
most valuable player this season? That depends on what you value. In terms of estimated plus minus, it is Shea, who not only has a lead on the rest of the league, he has the third highest
You know what's crazy? It's barely, especially with how better his team is than everybody else's. I would take this factor out.
single season EPM of
Give me
any
the on
player
and
this
off the court
century,
without him.
only trailing 2019 MVP James Harden and 2016 MVP Steph Curry. If we look at crafted plus minus, it's Nikola Jokic who reigns as the best player in the league this season, followed by Wemby and
With
Shea.
LeBron's
And
stat?
if we look at daily plus minus, it is Jokic once again who tops the league with a sizable lead on everyone else.
But now remember, plus or minus we can't take into effect because plus or minus had Steph like 30 points, not Steph, Russ over everybody by like 30 points until they fixed it.
If these
account
all-in-one
for
advanced
triple-doubles.
metrics told us
Because remember, if Jokic got 3 MVPs, that would statistically make Russ need 2 more MVPs. So then the plus or minus would become quote unquote stat patty. So everybody with triple doubles would just have the best plus or minus.
Everything, Nikola Jokic would be walking away
So if
this season with his
see how
fourth MVP.
mediocre he is
Fortunately
now,
for the rest of the
him and
field,
Luka
the
would
value a
literally
player
be like
provides for his team
that
cannot be
up there,
boiled down to
averaging
one simple
39 and
number.
9.
According to preseason odds, here are the projected number of wins each team was expected to finish with this season. Now, these projections can be off for a number of reasons. Teams dealing with injuries, unexpected leaps from young players.
Projected preseason 51, 47. They just won 50. They haven't got 50 yet. They do have 50. They do have 50. So, obviously, these projected wins are incorrect.
And of course, the individual impact of an MVP level player. Coming into the season, the Denver Nuggets were projected to win 54 games. Right now, they are on pace for about 52. The Thunder were projected to finish with about 63 wins, a total they're on pace to surpass by 2 wins. The Lakers were projected to win 47 games, and they're currently on pace for 53.
I'm about to say they're currently at 50.
The Spurs, who have completely blown away expectations this season. Preseason odds had them winning 45 games this year. They are currently on pace for 62 wins, exceeding projections.
They're on pace for 62. How many? And this is where I say ESPN. Are they actually? Standings. The Royals are. Oh, they're winning. Nice. W Royals. Standings. Oh, on God, they're on pace for fucking. Yeah. It's not cap. Yeah. I'm like, are they on pace for 62? You're not wrong. They get 62.
By 17 wins. If you're looking for who provides the most value, it might be the guy who's transformed the Spurs from playoff hopefuls into title contenders. But looking at the MVP from this angle assigns individual value.
I'm gonna be mad if Vic got it. I'm really just rooting for Luka. I genuinely can't be mad. For me, it's really just not Jokic
the perception
or Shaq.
of a player's value is heavily influenced
I
by
can't
the
even be
success
mad.
of their team.
But I just realized how young he is, Victor, and I'm like, damn, bro, he would eclipse D Rose as the youngest MVP. Because bro's literally like
truly the most
23,
valuable
right?
player
Or
in
22.
basketball, you should be elevating your
younger
team
than
to
me.
title contention. But rather than looking at team success, let's look at the individual impact these players have on their team. Dunks and Threes has a metric called estimated wins that takes the quality of play from any given player plus the minutes they've played throughout the season to get the estimated number of wins they've contributed to their team's total. Our 4 MVP
Shea probably has better
being the
data this
top 4
season
players
since
in the league
J-Dub
this season in
was
estimated
out
wins
a
with
long time.
13.8, 14.6, 16, and 18. Nikola Jokic is solely responsible for a third of the Nuggets' wins, but it is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who has contributed the most wins to his team this season. But arguably the most accurate way to assess a player's value is to measure how well their team performs when they're on the court versus when they're off the court.
There you go.
How much
I'll
does a
take that one
player's
more.
presence directly impact their team? Here are the top 30 players in the league this season and their team's net rating when they're off the court. From the Celtics, who are firing on all cylinders even without Jaylen Brown on the court this season, to the Jazz, who are on the verge of relegation without Lauri Markkanen on the court. And now here is the effect these stars have on their team when they're on the court, with the 4 most impactful players in the league this season being Kawhi, Jokic, Giannis, and Wemby with the highest net.
Where the fuck is Shea at? So Shea, that's what I'm saying. Shea and Chet is damn near the same. So it genuinely can't be Shea. You know what's crazy though? Because the second big got hurt like a week after Jokic got hurt, and they were winning with him. So I would say this is scary too, because all his like off the court essentially kind of like without 2 bigs, or a reason of it could be
On-off in the entire league of plus
But Vic,
17.
no, I believe
This
the Vic.
means
That's
the
on my
Spurs
Vic
are
winning MVP.
17
I'm
points
perfectly
better
fine
per
with it.
100 possessions with Wemby on the court. But this
What,
stat
like 2
also
quarters?
reveals another key factor in the MVP race. We often judge a player's impact on how well their team is playing. This has been a point of contention
Yeah, so
with
that's
the
why I'm
MVP
like, Shea
award for
can't
years.
get MVP if his
MVPs
team
go to
is that
players on
good.
good teams with top seeds, and rightfully so. But what if a player has MVP level value, but they're on a bad team? With Bam Adebayo on the court, the Heat
Oh
have
my
a plus
God,
7.8
gang.
net rating, one of the highest in the entire NBA. On-court impact, that is the difference between the Heat being one of the worst teams in the league and merely the 10th seed. Same goes for Giannis and Kawhi. MVP
They're
caliber
better when
seasons
LeBron doesn't
stifled
play.
by injuries and teams that are absolutely lost without them. Purely looking at a team's results, like wins or seeding, ignores how great some of these players have to play just to keep their team competitive. With that being said, the MVP award has always valued turning good teams into great teams over turning bad teams into average teams. And with that being the case, here are our 4 MVP frontrunners and the impact they are having on their.
So, Luka has to, which is crazy because it's like if Luka and AR is like 5.5, then it's like, bro, what the fuck? Like, how do the Lakers have
Teams.
50
If you're
wins?
looking for a player
I'm
who
confused.
impacts the game
Like,
more
is the
than
team
anyone
just
else
average,
while pushing
like,
their team into
everybody's pulling
great
away? What does
territory,
that
then
mean?
that player is clearly Victor Wembanyama, who is
Yeah,
head and shoulders
by far.
above the rest of the league in terms of the impact his presence has on his team. Now, it's important to note that the on-off metric doesn't measure how well an individual player is playing, but rather how well a team is playing while that individual is on the court. So what if we look at this the other way around? What if we directly measure a player's individual impact and how that affects their team's success? This is ESPN Analytics net point stat, and it divides credit
How
and
much
blame
they
to
take
each
from?
player on the court for every play of the game to measure the impact of each individual player. The higher the total net points, the more that player has contributed to their team's wins throughout the course of a season. In fact, the metric is so indicative of a player's value that ESPN literally calls it their MVP stat. For example, last year's 2 MVP finalists, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic, finished the 2025 season within 9 net points of each other. The next closest player
6-7.
was Tyrese Halliburton, with about half as many. If you want to know why last year's MVP race was so historic and so close,
I don't.
well, you're looking at it.
I'm gonna be
But-
honest. I feel like this stat might just be juxtaposed because when you see shit like this is genuinely when I ask you, right? Go put triple double Russell Westbrook 3 seasons on there, like put all those seasons. Let's see the people behind him, and then look at what that is. And if there's only like one other person there, genuinely this shit doesn't even matter. Or what is this? Actually, we can look.
So
We can
his
look.
with list really calls it, in fact, their MVP stat. Indicator has an impact of
The best. They probably want me to pay for this. The best NBA players in overall net points. The best NBA players in overall net points. So, this is the bubble season. Who got MVP there? Giannis, right? This stat doesn't matter because James Harden has over 100 points. James Harden get an MVP right there. Okay. Jokic, I think Jokic did get an MVP right there. Okay. Jokic again, I think he did go back to back, or Joel Embiid might have got one. So, but then look, oh my gosh, over 100 points. Let's look at that season. It's Jokic again. Jokic only has 3 MVPs, so it could be. It's definitely not that one, and it's definitely not Luka. I think it was Jokic. Because last one was Shea, but I think that one was Jokic. And let's look at last season. It was Shea, and Shea got it. So again, like he said, this was Tyrese Halliburton. So again, this shit doesn't necessarily help because you see the first one, James Harden's out the water, and James Harden does not have a bubble MVP. Who got MVP in 2020? No. NBA 2020 MVP. I don't fucking know. It was Giannis. But that nigga's fourth. That nigga's fourth on that shit. Why the fuck do we care? That's what I'm saying. At that point, it was a better argument for Damian Lillard. That's what I'm saying, bro. Get these fucking trash ass analytics. Niggas be like, and here's an analytic on saying why it should be Jokic or
Each
Shea.
individual
And
player,
then you look
the
at when
higher
it
the total
became, and
net
it was like,
points,
yeah, James
the more
Harden's the
that
best
player
player
has
in the NBA.
contributed to their team's
And niggas
wins
is
throughout
like,
the course of a
oh,
season. In fact, the metric is so indicative of a player's value that
it doesn't push my
ESPN
agenda.
literally calls it out season.
Yeah, so get us out of here.
There is just a couple weeks left in the season. The MVP race has become so close that there is no clear consensus on who the actual most valuable player in the league is. One source will say it's Luka, another will say it's Wemby, and another will tell you it's Shea. According to Basketball Reference's MVP tracker, it is Nikola Jokic who has a firm grasp on the top spot with a 60% chance of winning the MVP. Ask the fans who they think should be the MVP, and you'll get a completely different answer. A couple weeks ago, NBA Central on Twitter asked fans who is the NBA's most valuable player, the options being Shea, Luka, Wemby, or Jaylen Brown. Within days, nearly 76,000 fans casted their votes, and running away with over 62% of all the votes as the clear winner was Luka Doncic. The result of a late season surge by Luka, averaging nearly 40 points a game for an entire month, and efforts that slingshotted him up to second place on the MVP ladder. Unfortunately, it's not the fans who get to vote for this award, it's the media. And for them, there has been one clear-cut leader throughout the entire season. Recently, the NBA did its annual MVP straw poll, a survey asking a panel of 100 media members who they think this season's MVP is. The results? Finishing in 5th was Luka Doncic, who received 0 first-place votes. In 4th was Victor Wembanyama. In 3rd was Cade Cunningham. In 2nd was Nikola Jokic. And with a resounding 78 of the 100 first-place votes was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, this poll was conducted back on February 20th, 2 full months before the end of the season, and a lot can and has changed over that time. But in 2025, the same media straw poll was conducted around the same time, and they accurately picked the MVP last season. They also accurately picked the MVP in 2024, and in 2023, and in 2022, and in every single season since the introduction of this mid-season MVP poll in 2016. Over the course of the entire season, 9 different players have slid in and out of the MVP leaderboard, from Luka and Cade.
So if they said in the last decade, 10 decades is crazy, that's a century. If they said in the last decade, it accurately predicted it, then it's Shea, and we should stop. We should turn the video off because it just told it. It's genuinely no more part of the video. That probably should have been the last point if the shit has predicted the last 10. Because it's the fucking media. So these are the same niggas voting.
To Brunson
so
and Jaylen Brown,
but
the first half of the season was all Nikola Jokic, dominating the #1 spot for just the biggest catalyst, strong and.
But then he just started begging and he was like, "I play defense. Defense is half the game." And niggas was like, "Oh my gosh, you're right, Victor, defense." And it's like. I guess, bro. If that's the case, then when are we getting Offensive Player of the Year?
My first one would be that defense is 50% of the game, and that it is undervalued. So far in the MVP race, I believe I'm the most impactful.
He's the best defensive player. He also has the worst shooting splits, which is why he's saying that, because his offensive game is the shittiest out of the top 4 candidates. I understand your argument. But that's my counterpoint. Is start hitting your shots, gang. Start hitting your shots. You can't hit the side of you can't hit the barn.
In the league. Second argument would be we almost swept OKC in the season and we dominated them.
That's the argument. That's his best argument. That's genuinely his best argument. Is I shitted on the Thunder this season. I shitted on the Thunder. If that's your MVP, that's your best team in the NBA, and I'm shitting on them, and I'm like 3 games behind them. I feel like I should have MVP because in the matchup I got them. Now, A game, you beat them niggas in the conference finals game. Shit, they should have gave you MVP if you didn't get it. I can't even lie.
Offense impact is not just points.
But here's the thing: offense, great defense wins championships. Great defense doesn't win MVPs. Great defense wins DPOYs.
Immediately after this
I mean, hey,
interview,
bro, give him a
Wemby's
DPOY.
odds to win MVP
But I mean, if he gets
shot
MVP
up
in
from
it,
plus 1900 to plus 225.
yeah, and then was it Stephon? What was what's the other dude that went bald? Keldon Johnson or something. He started doing the same begging shit, and his shit shot up the same. So basically, beg if you want awards, beg, chat.
Pushing into league's most valuable player. If the award went to the player who has the largest impact on his team, then Victor Wembanyama would become the youngest MVP in the history of the league. If the award was for the most dominant player in the league, Nikola Jokic would be a 4-time MVP by the end of the season. And if the fans had a say in it, Luka Doncic would be walking away as the league's most valuable player. With 2 weeks left in the season, the MVP race has grown closer than it's ever been. And with 4 players who all have a legitimate case for the award, only one can earn the title as the NBA's most valuable player.
W Widows Peak Vic. W Widows Peak Vic. WWW. All them playing in the Western Conference is crazy. Yeah, no Eastern Conference MVP. The problem with MVP race. If there's that's what I just said. The problem with MVP is that there's no offensive player of the year. Making MVP race basically offensive player of the year. On God. Imagine the DPOY was actually created for the opposite reason. MVP was basically. Exactly. The offensive player of the year used to be the scoring title. Exactly. Luka scored 42 points today. With that performance, he would be number 10 in the MVP race. The MVP race not being about who's most valuable on their team is crazy to me. Drew's name is the best player on the best team right at this point. Exactly. There's a lot of factors in team record. That's what I'm saying. The Nuggets completely collapsed with Al Joker. That dude is. They were better without him at the time, but they're better than the Thunder were without Shea. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm like, bro. Some niggas be knowing ball. And the most valuable player could be on the 10 seed, and there's a problem. It's a combo of everything. That's what I'm saying. Just make it. It isn't a problem if the move on the top 10 seed elevates their squad beyond that previous, then it should be Luka for MVP. That's what I'm saying, gang. Like I think it should be weighted like that. So I think genuinely, just the most valuable player should, and it not just be like you got to be a lock top 3 seed. You gotta be a lock. You gotta be a lock 60, 58 win seed to get it. And it's like if you don't have 55 plus wins, you just can't get MVP, because you look up and like 7 seed could have 56 wins, or 55 wins, and it's like 60 could, that's what I'm saying. 5th seed could have 57 wins, and then 7th seed could have 55, and 8th seed could have 55 wins, which means the 8th seed is 4 games behind the 3rd seed. And at that point, gang, it's just like who is the most valuable? It's less about record.